بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على النبي محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. We are continuing in the readings of the short book من Akhlaaq Al-Anbiyaa by Sheikh Abdul Aziz As-Sadhan Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, and we have begun to get into the various chapters of this book, in which the Shaykh brings from the first chapter khashyatuhum lillahi azza wa jal, which we have discussed, and that is the fear of the prophets that they had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the khashya. And then the Shaykh mentioned something concerning the adab of the prophets and messengers alayhimus salatu wassalam with Allah ta'ala, and that was the example he gave of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam in the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah of the way that Isa alayhi salatu wassalam responded to Allah ta'ala when he asked him, أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ قَالَ سُبْحَانَكَ مَا يَكُونُ لِي أَنْ أَقُولَ مَا لَيْسَ لِي بِحَقٍّ إِن كُنتُ قُلْتُهُ فَقَدْ عَلِمْتَهُ تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك إنك أنت علام الغيوب. And that is what Allah Ta'ala, He said, did you say to the people to take me and my mother as deities besides Allah? And Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, with his adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, Subhanak, how perfect are you, Allah Ta'ala, from having any type of deficiencies or making any type of mistakes. It is not for me to say anything that I don't have any right to say. If indeed I had said it, then indeed you have known I said it. You know the secrets of my own soul, and I do not know anything about you concerning fi nafsik, concerning yourself. Indeed, you are Allamul Ghuyub. You are the one who has thorough knowledge of the unseen. So this was an example of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam and his adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَهَذَا تَوْفِيقٌ لِتَأَدُّبِ فِي الْجَوَابِ الْكَامِلِ. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that this is from divine inspiration from Allah ta'ala to his messenger, to his prophet, لِتَأَدُّبِ فِي الْجَوَابِ الْكَامِلِ, of having that proper etiquette and discipline in the way that he responded to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most perfect and the complete ways of responding. And then in the next chapter, the Shaykh Hafidhullah ta'ala, he mentions from the Akhlaaq Al-Anbiyaa alayhimus salatu wassalam, Adamu intiqamihim alayhimus salam li anfusihim. This is a very important chapter here, a very, very beneficial chapter and lessons for us to take from the akhlaq of the Anbiya, of the prophets and messengers. What is that? The absence of them taking revenge and taking out retribution for their own selves. Meaning when they did something or reciprocated something that someone else had done or some people had done, it was only by implementing the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and when the laws and the commands of Allah ta'ala were violated. Not when their own honor and their reputation and they were harmed and hurt and they were ridiculed and they were slandered and they were disrespected. They never took revenge for themselves from this. This is a very integral portion of the akhlaq of the Anbiya, that if we were able to have these characteristics within ourselves, it would allow us success in many situations in this life and the hereafter. He says, وَمِنْ أَخْلَاقِ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ عليهم الصلاة والسلام أنهم لا ينتقمون لأنفسهم ولا ينتصرون لها. He said that the prophets and messengers never took revenge for their own selves. بل كان همهم ومقصدهم مرضاة ربهم عز وجل. Rather, their main concern and their objective was to earn the pleasure of Allah and please Allah عز وجل, their Lord. فلا ينتقمون إلا إذا انتقحت حرمات الله تعالى. That they would not take revenge unless the laws of Allah Ta'ala were violated. unless the commands of Allah Ta'ala were violated. And that unless that which Allah Ta'ala made impermissible was violated. أَمَّا لِأَنفُسِهِمْ فَلَا. As for their own selves, then no. He gives an example of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. This is beautiful, brothers. Listen. لما علم أبناءه بافتضاح أمرهم وعلموا بخطئهم وعلموا أن يوسف موجود وحي يرزق في ذلك الوقت رجعوا منكسرين إلى أبيهم. When Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he knew that which his sons had done, and it became very clear to him their affair, and they knew the mistake that they made, and they knew that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was present and he was alive, and being given his sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time. رَجَعُوا مُنْكَسِرِينَ إِلَىٰ أَبِيهِمْ. They returned broken-hearted, broken down with regret to their father. What did they say? قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا اسْتَغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا إِنَّا كُنَّا خَاطِئِينَ. In Surah Yusuf, ayah 97, they ran to their father, they saying, "Oh, our father, seek forgiveness for us, from our mistakes and our sins. Indeed, we are those who have fallen into error." وَمَا أَنَّ يَعْقُوبَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ ذَاقَ الْأَمْرَيْنِ مِنْ بُعْدِ يُوسُفَ عَنْهُ وَمِنْ مَكْرِ إِخْوَانِهِ بِهِ وَمِنْ كَذِبِهِمْ عَلَيْهِ. Along with the fact that Yaqub, he had to experience both of the affairs. What were they? مِنْ بُعْدِ يُوسُفَ عَنْهُ. The fact that Yusuf was away from him, and we know the story of Yusuf and how Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he longed to be returned back with his son. وَمِنْ مَقْرِ إِخْوَانِهِ بِهِ مِنْ كَذِبِهِمْ عَلَيْهِ. And the plot of Yusuf's brothers, and the fact that they lied to him. مَا هَذَا كُلُّهُ. Even with all of this right here that took place, subhanallah. قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. This is a lesson. He said, "I will soon seek forgiveness from my Lord for you. Indeed, Allah is all forgiving, most merciful." Showing that he didn't take revenge for himself, and showing that he was giving the people, he was giving them what? Hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ هُنَا مَسْأَلَةً. Then here there's an issue. لماذا قال سوف أستغفر ولم يكن سأستغفر. The Shaykh, he says, why did Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam and Allah Ta'ala narrating this particular story to us in the kalam of Allah in the Quran, why did he say سوف أستغفر, using the particle or using the word here term سوف, which also means soon, and he didn't say سأستغفر with the seen in front of the verb, right? With the seen in front of the verb. وَلَمْ يَدْعُ لَهُمْ مُبَاشَرَةً. And he didn't make dua for them right away. He didn't make dua for them right away. He says, سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ. Soon I will make dua for Allah Ta'ala forgive you. أجاب بعض المفسرين بأنه أخر دعاءه لهم إلى السحر لأنه أرجى للإجابة. Some of the scholars of tafsir, they said, brothers, look at this. We find many fawaid from this. Some of the scholars of tafsir said that he delayed his dua until the time of sahar. What is the time of sahar?
Evening time.
La.
Like Fajr time.
Right, evening. I know.
Time.
Your English, right? The time right before Fajr. The time before Fajr comes in between the time that normally someone makes Qiyamul Layl at the end of the night before Fajr. Right? This is known as Sahar. Because this is a time that one has, it is more hoped that the response will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the last third of the night. Right? وَلِهَذَا أَثْنَى اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَى الْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ بِالْأَسْحَارِ. And based upon this, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned and praised the people who are making istighfar during the time of sahar. Right? That's why we say sahar, suhoor, sahur. Right? All of this comes from the same thing. We take what? We take sahur at the time of sahar. And we do suhoor at the time of sahur. ايش فرق بينهما؟ سحر سهور. ايش فرق؟ الفرق مثلا وضوء الماء right? مستعمل للوضوء. الوضوء العمل. طيب. Wudu is the water that's used for wudu with the fatha, and wudu with the dhamma is the act that you're doing. Sahur is what? The meal that you're actually eating itself. Suhur is what? The act of taking the meal. Sahar is the time that you take the meal. Right? I wish Sheikh Muhammad was here. He can make ta'aliqat upon that, inshallah. So Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَالْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ بِالْأَسْحَارِ in Surah Ali Imran, praising the people who make istighfar during the time of sahar. While Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, كذلك, and we're going to stop here, inshallah ta'ala. I don't want to keep you long tonight. But we mentioned the example of Yaqub first. And then we're going to mention in our next sitting, inshallah ta'ala, the example of Yusuf. How Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he was what? Thrown into the well by his brothers. First taken, right? And not brought back to his father, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. Thrown into the well, taken out of the well and sold, right? All of these things happened to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he was placed in prison. Or seduced first, lied upon, then placed in prison. So Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he went through a lot. But he never took intiqam li nafsihi. He never took revenge for his own self. As a matter of fact, we're going to see the beautiful words alayhi salatu wasalam that Yusuf mentioned to his brothers out of his mercy and pity. And he was a prophet. Right? Son of a prophet. Grandson of a prophet. Right?
He was in power too.
And he was also in the power. He was in authority to do what? To do something to them. Right? So we see the akhlaq here of Yusuf alayhi salatu was Yaqub here first, and then we will see how the Shaykh explains the beautiful example of Yusuf, and then our noble messenger Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
بارك الله فيكم.
فيكم بارك شيخ.
Oh, you brought up.
I don't have it though. Sheikh Muhammad, he probably has it.